I will be doing a quick tank review for the German Tier 3 light tank, the PD3A. This vehicle, for its tier, it is not that bad nor good. What is good about the vehicle? It is quite mobile, so you can get from location A to B quickly enough if you have to. Unfortunately, the bad thing about this tank is the armor, the gun, and the survivability of the tank itself. Besides that, if you play toward its strengths and weaknesses, it is not that bad for a tier 3 light tank. Let's get into the vehicle stats now. Let's begin off with the firepower stats. This vehicle, I did not have a fully trained crew member in this tank, so my stats are slightly worse with them in the tank. So I will show you these stats for the tank when you have a fully trained crew in this tank. Firepower. You will be using the 5cm gun, which is quite good for this tank as it is the best tank gun on this tank. What is good about this gun? You have a good aiming time, 2.2 seconds, with a very good loading time, 2.4 seconds. You have an amazing rate of fire, 25 rounds per minute with this gun. Unfortunately, the downside to this gun is that the accuracy, it is not that great, 0.46. The damage done per a round, it is on the low end. So if you want to do a lot of damage with this gun, you have to fire a lot of rounds. Fortunately, you have good enough pen with this gun still, so you can pen most of the targets you will be facing up against easily enough, if you know where to shoot at. Personal experience using the top gun on this tank here is I have problems penning some of the heavily armored targets, especially in the front and the side at times, when you're going up against tier 4 and 5 heavily armored tier 4 to 5 heavily armored tanks at times. You have good gun depression, -10 downwards, 20 up. The turret turn around quickly enough. It is 36.5 for the turret traverse. The survivability that I mentioned before, you have rubbish armor, so everything will penetrate you easily enough, even a tier 2 or a tier 1 machine gun. 14mm for the hull, armor all around, 30mm for the turret all around, but that can be penned easily enough. Hit points 240. That means you can be killed easily enough if you are at the wrong place at the wrong time, especially if you're going up against a tank that have a high rate of fire per minute, or a high damage output per round. Mobility, this is where the tank begin to be quite good. For being a light tank, you have the good horsepower to ton ratio for the 17-ton tank for the upgraded with the 440 horsepower engine. The horsepower to ton ratio, it is 26 horsepower to 1 ton. That means you can easily reach the 68 kilometer mark for the top speed of the tank in a short amount of time. You can reach the 20 kilometers in the reverse speed easily enough with that horsepower to ton ratio. The hull can turn around quickly enough if it have to with the amazing traverse speed of 46. Concealment. This tank have a good camo rating for a light tank, so if you use the terrain around you well enough, you can remain hidden for a good amount of time. To improve the camouflage rating, go with the camouflage net, camouflage paint, and the camouflage perk to increase the camouflage rating while you are using this tank. Spotting, it is not that great nor bad. The view range, it is 320 for the base view range. To increase this even more, go with coated optics or binocular telescopes. The radio for this tank, it is not that great nor bad. You have a 475 meter signal range radio. For this tier, it is not that bad nor good. It could be better. Now, let's cover the research part of the tank now. The research for the tank, it's a easy tank to go through, especially if you have all of the equipment unlocked already. If you went down the medium tank line, the TD line, or the light tank line that uses the same equipment, tracks, you will have to get the top pair of tracks to mount all of the equipment onto the tank here. The whole traverse changes from 40 to 44. Engines. You have three to use. The 320 horsepower engine, it is not that bad, not good. You will be mobile enough still with that engine if you want to use it. The second and third engine here, you would have them unlocked already if you went down the three lines that I mentioned before. Use the top engine here, the 440 horsepower engine here, as this is the best engine on the tank here, to have the best horsepower to ton ratio for this tank. The radios. There are two top radios that you can use. The FUG7 radio, you would have had this unlocked already as it is usable on a lot of vehicles within the German tech tree. Now, the FUG1 radio, you may or may not have this, and you may not have this radio unlocked already, as it is usable on very few vehicles within the German tech tree. So use the FUG7 radio throughout the entire grind if you want to. If you do not have the FUG31 radio unlocked already. If you have this radio unlocked already, use this right away, as this is the best radio for this tank here. Turrets. You will have to research the second turret anyways to move on to the PD3, the DW2, or the PD4A. From the first turret to the second turret, you have more armor. For the turret, the same view range. The only thing that changed is the turret traverses worse from 44 to 35. That is bad for the turret traverse to be at 35. The hit points increase while you get slightly better gun handling stats for the top turret. You have 4 guns to use on this tank here. If you came from the PD2 to the PD3A, then you would have the Flak 38 gun unlocked already. Use that gun as it is the best gun to use out of the three. The 3.7 centimeter gun, this is rubbish, do not use it. The KWK 38 gun, it is rubbish, don't use that, as the Flak 38 gun have slightly better gun handling stat numbers. And you can pen tanks easily enough with the pen from this gun, if you hit the correct part of the tank. Now, the top gun that you're going to be using, and you will have to research anyways to move on to the DW2 and the 4A, is the 5 centimeter L42 gun. This is the best gun for this tank here. You have a high rate of fire, okay pen, while doing low amount of damage per a shot. So, as I mentioned before, if you want to do a lot of damage within a match with this gun, you'll have to fire a lot of rounds into the enemy tank to accumulate that large amount of damage done within a match. Unfortunately, the aiming time and the accuracy of the gun, it is terrible. 0.48 accuracy means you will have a problem getting precise shots off at the enemy tank at times. So 40 aiming in onto the enemy target helps a lot. The aiming time, it could be better, it could be worse at 2.3 seconds. Now I will be covering the consumables, the ammunition layout, the equipment, and how are you going to be using the PD3A here. Let's begin off with the consumables. At this tier, you may or may not want to use them. I would go with a repair kit or a first aid kit to treat the crew member injuries or the module damage that you may receive. This tank carries a lot of ammo, 76 rounds of ammo, so in theory, you should never run out of ammo in a match with this tank gun. The primary ammo type you will be using, it is AP and APCR. AP, you can pen most targets easily enough if you know where to shoot at or if you can flank the enemy target side or rear. As AP can pen most targets up to tier 5 easily enough. As tier 4 and 5 vehicle side armor, it is not that thick at this tier still. It is always a good idea to have some APCR on you, just in case if you encounter a heavily armored tier 4 to tier 5 tank, that you have a problem penning with a regular AP round in the front or from the side. APCR is a good ammo type to use, in case if you want to make sure your round is going to be penning the enemy tank. APCR will cost you 2,000 credits or 5 gold. HE, it is one of those useful ammo type to use still when you are facing up against a semi-armored target such as a enemy light tank or even our artillery piece. You can reset cap with this round if you have to when you're facing up against a semi-armored target only, or you can pen a part of the enemy tank where the armor it is quite thin still. The equipment that I went with is the camouflage net to increase the camouflage rating when it is being used, binocular telescope to increase the view range when it is being used. The third slot, it is up to you what you want to use. The enhanced gun lane drive to decrease the aiming time by 10%, or vents to improve the crew and the tank performance by a bit. Coded optics, you may want to use this if you want to. Besides that, the rest of the pieces of equipment here doesn't improve the tank performance by much. Now, how are you going to be playing the PD3A? This is a tier 3 tank, so your matchmaking will be tier 3 up to tier 5. If you know what you are doing in this tank, you can do quite well in this vehicle. Now, the primary roles for this tank. You're going to be either as a passive or as a active scout based upon the matchmaking that is thrown at you, as a flanking vehicle, as a support vehicle, as a medium to a short distance sniper if you have to, if you have the exact equipment set up for it. The one role that the PD3A it is terrible at, it is the front line light tank. If you are playing it as a front line light tank, it is quite important that you know what you are doing because you can be killed easily enough with the paper thin armor you have and the low amount of hit points that this vehicle have. With the in-garage review done with, I have one replay to show you how well you can do in a tier 5 match. Let's go to that replay now. This replay, I will show you how well you can do in the PD3A when you're in a tier 5 match maximum. First thing first, being the scout and the light tank for the team, I am going to be lighting some targets early on in the match with the good viewing I have with the binocular telescopes being used. As long as I am not seen in the rodeo, when I have the camouflage net on, use the tank camouflage and what is around me, I can remain hidden for a good amount of time while lighting targets up for my team in the middle of the map here. I spotted 2 targets here, 4 to be precise: the OI, the PD T-25, the Churchill, and the Covenanter going into the town. I switched to a PDR to make sure my rounds are going to be pinning the Churchill at this range. Generally at this TL, at tier 5, you have to shoot a lot of APCR into the enemy tanks if you're facing up against the heavily armored vehicles at this TL, such as the OI and the Churchill one is at this TL. I was a bit late aiming at the VK there. I could have had gotten 1 shot off onto the target there. I switched to this location, not knowing if I was seen or not, to continue to light targets up for my team. Eventually, seeing how things are going in the town area, I will fall back to support that front. This is where you get to see the mobility of the tank being shown off. It doesn't take that long for me to get from the middle of the map to the town due to the amazing horsepower to ton ratio this vehicle have. I switched to a PCR to make sure my rounds are going to be pinning the enemy tanks. This match, unfortunately, RNG was not exactly on my side, and 40 aiming onto the target, I did not do for a lot of rounds. That OI is angling its side armor quite well. Seeing both of them are potentially 1 shots for me, I lure the VK and the OI out here to finish them off. Both of them were 1 shots due to my teammates finish them off, so I can 1 shot them with the low amount of health that they had. This is where I begin to mess up. I did not fully aim in on all of my rounds here. If I did fully aim in onto the Cirque 4 there, I could have had pen it with the APTR round. I am trying to get at least a somewhat accurate shot with the AP round at this range. I am not having any luck here. I think I tracked the Grant there. Now I am in a terrible place, between a rock and a hard place. If I go forward, I would be killed by the Grant or by anything that comes toward the base area, or by the Churchill behind me. I think the Churchill one hit me. This tank, unless if you have luck on your side, know what you're doing with RNG on your side, you're going to have problems in a tier 5 match at times. This replay, I did not that good nor bad in this tank in the tier 5 match. When I added in the assist damage that I did with the lighting up of targets, I did about 560 damage in this match. That is not that bad nor good. So that is about just underneath 2.5 times the tank hit points here. Let's go to the garage now to do a brief recap on this tank. Let's do a brief recap on the PD3A. This tank itself, it is not that bad nor good for a light tank. It is just average. Remember that if you are in the wrong place at the wrong time, you can be killed easily enough with the hit points and the armor that you have. This vehicle, if it's played right within a match, you can do quite well in this tank. The vehicle itself, it can fill many roles within a match if it have to. Overall, the vehicle itself, it is just average. It is not that good nor bad. But if you play towards the vehicle's strengths and weaknesses, you can do quite well in this tank. I hope that you learn a thing or two about the PD3A and how to use it properly. If you like this video, leave a like, a comment, and even follow my channel as well. Good luck on the battlefield, everyone.